Shout out to Dope Spill Comics, because without him this video would not be possible. I clicked on his video and he said Joe Fixit was going to fight the Kingpin. I'm sorry bro, I had to turn off your video because I had to read this for myself. My name is Dorian, this is SEM Comics. We are covering the complete 5-part miniseries of Joe Fixit by Peter David. Let's begin. So it starts off with the Las Vegas TV show asking the question, who is Joe Fixit? And our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, who is a long way from New York, just happens to be in the Las Vegas airport watching the show, and he's monologuing to himself, and he's saying, it's the Incredible Hulk. So what they know is that he works at the Coliseum Casino, and he works for Michael Burnghetty, and they also know that his skin is gray, and they think it's from a condition called Algeria, which is a real condition. But then the Spider-Man's like, no, it's from gamma radiation. So they're interviewing this cop and he's like, look, Joe Fixit is okay in my book because he saved my life. Then they start showing the body cam footage of what happened. So this dude just got finished shooting up the Coliseum Casino, and this cop is after him and he's trying to arrest him, and the dude gets a jump on the cop and he's about to shoot him when all of a sudden Joe Fixit comes flying down and the bullets bounce off of him. The cop thinks he has on a bulletproof vest, but we all know the Hulk's bulletproof. So Joe Fixit's like, you shoot up the places because you had a run of bad luck. And he turns around and he asks the cop if he's okay. The cop's like, yeah. And he starts to beat the hell out of the guy. Then they have this traffic light footage where Joe Fixit and Mr. Burnghetty are walking in the street and this car comes out of nowhere and then hits Joe Fixit. And obviously Joe Fixit didn't move and the car is all messed up now. So Spider-Man is just shocked that people can't put two and two together. That the Green Hulk looks like the Gray Hulk, just different colors. So Peter's headed to his plane when his spider senses just goes crazy and he looks over and it's the Kingpin. So he doesn't even hesitate. He walks over and he puts a spider tracer on the Kingpin. They have a little small interaction. It's not too important. So he pretty much overhears how the Kingpin wants to confront Michael Burnghetty. And they was like, well, you know, we have to deal with Joe Fixit. And Kingpin's like, no, Joe Fixit has to deal with me. And then Peter's like, oh man, he's like us. He's getting excited about this because he knows what's about to go down. So he walks over to the ticket counter. He's like, I need to cash in my ticket. Lady's like, it's $100 charge. Peter's like, whatever. She was like, when do you want to reschedule? He's like, I'll get back with you on that. So the Kingpin is talking to his people and he's saying how he needs to join forces with Michael Burnghetty because they have a common enemy. And the Magi, I think I'm pronouncing it right, it's pretty much a international crime syndicate in Marvel Comics. But in typical Kingpin fashion, it then goes, but after that, we could take over his organization. So we get right to it. Kingpin heads to the casino. Spider-Man's now in his Spider-Man outfit and he's following. He goes to the casino. They're actually expecting Kingpin because I guess one of his goons called ahead and scheduled a meeting with Kingpin and Mr. Burnghetty. Kingpin goes to his office and Mr. Burnghetty's like, do you prefer fists or do you prefer Kingpin? And Kingpin's like, either one will suffice. And it's like, okay, well, this won't take long. And Kingpin's like, nope, this will not take long at all. So the Kingpin's like, well, we have a common enemy in the Magi and we need to join together. And Mr. Burnghetty's like, no, we don't, because we took care of the Magi. Well, Mr. Fixit took care of the Magi. He did most of the work. So then Mr. Burnghetty's like, so there's really nothing to discuss. And then Kingpin goes, I disagree, and just slams his fist on his desk and just shatters it. And all of a sudden all you hear is, you're going to pay for that. And all you see is Mr. Fixit and he goes, and I expect you to make good on it. So one of Kingpin's goons pulls out a gun and Mr. Fixit's like, go ahead and shoot. It'll be fun. And obviously the bullet bounces off of Mr. Fixit. So the goon pulls a gun on Mr. Burnghetty and was like, I bet your boss ain't bulletproof. And Mr. Fixit's like, if you do that, you will not get out of here alive. So then all of a sudden, all you see is a spider web go over the gun. And everybody looks up and Spider-Man goes, I'm not going to lie, I feel a little bit underdressed right now. So then Joe Fixit hits the dude with a Serena Williams backhand. It was like, I think this meeting is done. And the Kingpin just starts rushing at Joe Fixit. It's like, I don't think so. So Kingpin runs as hard as he can and body checks Joe Fixit. Joe Fixit doesn't move. He hits him with a left to the solar plexus. Nothing. He hits him with a right cross. Again, nothing. And then Kingpin's like, how is this possible? And then Joe Fixit catches Kingpin's hand and says, say it's over. And Joe Fixit's like, come on, you can do it. He's like, no? Okay, let me provide some incentive. And he picks the Kingpin up and he just slams him down. You see the people in the casino and they're like, oh my God, was that an earthquake? And then they show Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's like, this is the greatest day of my life. So then the Kingpin is now in an indentation on the floor, and he's like, and Joe Fix is like, I think you're looking for the word impossible. And then he picks him up with one hand, and he's like, but I prefer the word incredible. And he slams him down even harder. You know what this reminds me of, right? Be bullied by that. Puny God. So Joe Fix is like, say it or I'll rip your arm off. Then I'll turn that bitch sideways and stick it straight up. You can't do that. So the Kingpin's like, it's over. And Joe Fix goes, now say it in French. And the Kingpin says it in French. And then Joe Fix is like, now say it in Pig Latin. And Mr. Burngett is like, all right, he's had enough. So the Kingpin leaves, and then Joe Fix is talking to Spider-Man. He's like, good timing. And Spider-Man's like, yeah, I'm kind of known for that. And Spider-Man's like, I can tell you right now, it's not over. And Joe Fix is like, I hope not. I haven't had this much fun in ages. So Mr. Burngett goes to Joe Fixit and tells him to take Spider-Man up to the top floor suite, open up an account for him. He can have wherever he wants for food, gambling, whatever. And then Spider-Man's like, oh no, that's okay. And Mr. Burngett was like, I wasn't asking. And Joe Fix is like, he's the boss. And Spider-Man's like, okay. So the Kingpin's riding back in his limo with his two goons, and the one dude with the sunglasses goes to Kingpin's like, sir, you got a little bit of blood on your lip. And the Kingpin hits this dude with a back elbow. I mean, he broke his neck, but it goes further than just broke his neck. He snapped every vertebrae in this dude's neck. I mean, this dude's got like a gooseneck. Somebody call Elvis, because this dude is now a rubbernecker. So then Kingpin's like, new plan, we kill Joe Fixit. And I'm just like, oh man. I'm not gonna lie, as much as Spider-Man was out of the way in issue 1, he is front and center in issue 2. This might as well be The Amazing Spider-Man featuring Joe Fixit, but it's still a good comic book. My name is Dorian, this is SEM Comics. We are covering the complete Joe Fixit series with Joe Fixit #2. So it starts off with the Kingpin meeting with one of his scientists, and the dude goes, Mr. Fisk, I wasn't expecting you right now. And the Kingpin goes, your expectations have no relevancy with me right now. It was very Dr. Doom-esque. So the Kingpin asks, how's a neurotoxin coming? And the dude goes, problem is it's Spider-Man's mask. I don't know if it can penetrate it. And the Kingpin goes, well, what if we're not talking about a masked opponent? What about somebody that doesn't wear a mask? And the dude goes, then it should work. And he goes, excellent. Sounds like a party. So then it switches to Spider-Man, and he's stepping off an elevator, and he's talking to MJ about the Hulk. And he kind of gets in the guy's way, and the dude goes, hey, watch where you going, Jameson, you idiot. And then Spider-Man goes, it's amateur hour stuff, but it's totally worth it. And he goes, I wonder if it was too much to put Jonah's last name on the back of his shirt. So then he goes to Joe Fixit's suite, and there's a girl standing outside, and she goes, are you a friend of Joe? And then first Spider-Man's like, Joe, and then he has to think to himself, like, oh yeah, his name is Joe Fixit, because he always calls him the Hulk. And he's like, yeah, we're good friends, we go way back. And then he goes into the room. I'm not gonna lie, as soon as I saw this page, this took me right back to the Ultimate Universe and the Ultimate Hulk when he had that harem of women. I'm like, Joe Fixit out here, like, I don't know what you heard about me. But also too, a cool little Easter egg, if you look at Spider-Man's jersey, he has 62 on it. He was created in 1962. So then Joe Fixit goes, hey Spidey, make yourself comfortable anywhere or anyone. And Spider-Man's still talking to MJ, and he goes, let me give you a call back. And then it just gets so much worse. So then Spider-Man goes, sorry Joe, this is not my speed. And Joe goes, why not? You're young, you like girls, right? If not, we can combinate you on whichever way you swing. No pun intended. I'm thinking to myself, no, it should have been pun intended. Sasha from Casley Comics would have been all over that. By the way, congratulations on your new baby. So Spider-Man dips out, and then it goes to Kingpin, and he's in the gym with some big dude. So the Kingpin's like, I need you to attack me with everything you got. And the dude's like, I'd rather not. And the Kingpin hits him with a neurotoxin, and all of a sudden dude's like, I've been looking for an excuse to cut loose. And all of a sudden these big huge claws come out of his hands, and he's just got bigger. And then he goes and he attacks the Kingpin. The Kingpin looking, he's about to fight him. So then it switches to Peter Parker. He's out of his Spider-Man outfit, and he is feeling my pain. He goes, so I wonder what all the cool guys in Vegas would be doing, like Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr. And then he goes, probably wondering why these modern day tourists don't know who they are. And he goes, excuse me, miss, do you know who Dean Martin is? And then she goes, Dean of what, a college? He goes, yeah, never mind. So then this limousine pulls up, and it's the Kingpin. He gets out the car and he goes to Peter Parker, and he's like, what are you staring at? And then Peter goes, you got a cut on your cheek. And the Kingpin goes, oh, I guess I do. I guess I got a little sloppy during the workout. He goes, thanks for pointing that out. And he goes, do I know you? Peter goes, no. And he goes, do you know me? And Peter's like, yeah, you're the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. And the Kingpin's like, are you scared of me? And he goes, no, we're out in public. What are you going to do? So Kingpin goes to punch Peter, and he stops his fist right in his face, and Peter doesn't move. And Kingpin's like, you're a brave lad. And Peter goes, thanks. Kingpin's like, you remind me of my son. And Peter's like, should I take that as a compliment? And the Kingpin goes, well, he tried to kill me and destroy my organization, but he was very thorough and adept. So the Kingpin has him 100 and goes, here, go have some fun. And then Peter whistles, looks at the 100, throws it on the ground, and goes, okay, this is going to be fun. So Spider-Man knows that this is a trap. Like, Spider-Man knows the Kingpin like the back of his hand. A lot of people don't know this. Everybody associates Kingpin with Daredevil, but Kingpin actually started off as a Spider-Man villain. So obviously Joe Fixit is looking at the security feed, and he sees the Kingpin, walks in, so he starts to get dressed, and this girl's like, oh, where you going, Joe? He goes, to take care of this guy called the Kingpin. And she goes, that's what they call the fifth pin. He says, in bowling, you can't knock down the rack without hitting the fifth pin. That's why they call it the Kingpin. And then Joe Fixit goes, well, it's time for me to knock down the Kingpin. So Kingpin sits at the table and goes, deal me in. And then Joe shows up and he goes, me too. And Kingpin's like, well, this is a surprise. And Joe's like, I do that. So the Kingpin goes, how much is Burnghetty paying you? And Joe's like, excuse me? He goes, whatever he's paying you, I'll double it. And then Joe's like, oh, okay. And he calls over this waiter to bring him a drink, and he just throws it right in the Kingpin's face. So the Kingpin wipes his face and he goes, I take that as a no. And he goes, all right, plan B. And Joe's like, oh, so what is plan B exactly? And the Kingpin's like, you work for me anyway. And then Joe snaps his fingers to the waiter, is like, bring me another drink. And he goes, nah, how you gonna do that? So the Kingpin hits him with the neurotoxin, and Spider-Man knows right away that this ain't good. So then the Kingpin goes, destroy this place, then kill Michael Burnghetty. And then Joe Fixit's like, kill. And the Kingpin's like, correct. Enjoy working for him. So Joe Fixit's hulking out. Spider-Man goes to go change into his outfit. He gets out the bathroom and bumps right into the Kingpin. So Kingpin goes, you, and then just swings on him. Spider-Man ducks, hits him with an up. It's like, up, can't chat, gotta go. So Spider-Man's trying to calm down Joe Fixit. Joe Fixit throws the table at him. Spider-Man webs him up. So obviously the webs aren't going to hold him. And then right at that time, Michael Burnghetty steps out of the elevator. Joe Fixit turns around and it starts roaring. So the Spider-Man shoots his web and grabs Mr. Burnghetty and moves him right out the way right before Joe Fixit comes down with a fist. And Mr. Burnghetty is like, Joe Fixit's going out of his mind. He says, yeah. And Spider-Man is like, I need you to get scarce. And Michael Burnghetty is like, I ain't leaving out my own casino. Then all of a sudden the table comes at him and they go, whoa. And he goes, all right, you know what? I'm about to leave. Spider-Man's like, that's a good idea. Now, for those of y'all that are old enough, you've seen this before. Oh, you want something too, old man? Huh? No. So Spider-Man goes, I need to get his attention. And there's only one way I know how to do that. And he starts putting them paws on him. But unfortunately, it's not enough. Joe Fixit pulls him down. And it's like, bad news. You got it. And then you might as well cue in Braun Strowman because Spider-Man's about to get these hands! I don't know if Peter David ever wrote for Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure he didn't, but I could be wrong. You guys can let me know in the comments if he did. But this is some of the best Spider-Man storyteller I have read in a long time, probably since Dan Slott was writing for him. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We are covering the complete Joe Fixit series with Joe Fixit. There we go. Number 3. So our story starts off back in the day in New York City, and you see Dr. Banner sitting in a diner drinking some coffee. And a guy walks in with his sunglasses and hat, and he's like, I assume that's decaf. And he goes, huh? He goes, I assume that's decaf. You know, we don't want you getting too jittery, do we, Dr. Banner? And he's like, what? He's like, you're Dr. Banner, the Incredible Hulk, right? And Dr. Banner's like, oh, I don't want any trouble. He's like, I don't want any trouble either. Actually, I'm here just waiting. And then he tries to let him know what he's waiting on. And then Dr. Banner goes, Crusher Creel? He's like, how'd you? Oh. And then Absorbing Man just walks into the diner and he goes, Molly, coffee. I got a busy morning plan. Now, I know supervillains are people too. It just trips me out how he can just walk into a diner. He knows the waitress by her first name and everything's fine. She's not even trying to call the police. So Crusher sits down in between the two guys. By now, you should know that the guy with the glasses is Spider-Man. And he goes, Crusher Krill, Zorro-Man, I presume? And Zorro-Man's like, who wants to know? And he takes off his sunglasses, rolls down his mask, and he's like, I'm Spider-Man. We met a few times. And Crusher's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, you were bragging in the bar how you was going to rob the bank across the street. Got eyes and ears everywhere. And he's like, so what you going to do? You going to stop me? Spider-Man goes, that was plan A. But now, I think we're going to go with plan B. So all you see is some green hands grab Crusher's ball and chain. All you hear is Hulk go walk away. And Crusher's like, let go. And he turns around. He's like, oh. And the Hulk's like, walk away or the Hulk will smash. And Crusher's like, could you let go? Please? Like, you could tell Crusher didn't want none of the smoke. And he just walks out once Hulk lets go. First thing Spider-Man does, he goes to the waitress and he's like, let me get several stacks of pancakes from my friend here. And all of a sudden, I hear Hulk goes and lots of bacon. And Spider-Man's like, in like 5 sides of bacon, please. And she's like, got it. So I love this conversation between the two. So Spider-Man goes, you can talk, you can have conversations. And Hulk's like, Hulk can always talk. And Spider-Man goes, well, usually you're yelling like Hulk smash and you're angry. And Hulk's like, are you gonna make Hulk angry? Spider-Man's like, no, I'll try not to. Then Hulk goes, then why should Hulk smash you? And Spider-Man's like, no reason. And then Hulk's like, Hulk doesn't do anything for no reason. Hulk's enemies do things for no reason. Attack Hulk for no reason. Send tanks for no reason. Won't leave Hulk alone for no reason. Makes Hulk angry. Make Hulk want to. And then the waitress comes out with his breakfast and he starts smashing them pancakes. So Spider-Man's starting to feel like he understands the Hulk. He's like, all people have to do is stop attacking you and start talking to you. You're not so bad. And as soon as he says that, a bullet comes through the window and hits Hulk in the head. And all of a sudden, all these bullets come raining into the diner. Now, Hulk's bulletproof. Spider-Man's not. Spider-Man has to get out the way. Cops are like, come out, Hulk, with your hands up. And Spider-Man's like, he's just sitting down eating his breakfast. But they didn't start it. Hulk smashes through the windows and goes, Hulk, smash. And then Spider-Man's like, what the hell? And then a car comes right through the window. And Spider-Man's laying on the ground like, why? And then we cut to Vegas where he's still saying why as Joe Fixit is about to stomp right on him. So the Hulk yells, stay still. Who in the hell stays still for an ass whooping? My parents used to do that. They're like, they be whooping me and they're like, you need to stay still. I'm like, no. You already whooping my ass. Like, it can't get any worse than this, as I'm thinking as a kid. So ironically, the Hulk is about to hit Spider-Man with a blackjack table. For those of you who play 21, you get the joke. And Spider-Man's like, stop, Bruce, pull yourself together. And then the Hulk just drops the table. So then all we see is the Hulk grab his head. He's like, shut up, get out. And here's Hulk. He's like, shut up, I said. And then we see Bruce Banner in his eye and he's like, Hulk, what are you doing? Where are we at? Why are you destroying everything? Now, this conversation they have in Banner's mindscape is fantastic. So Bruce is like, what do you dress in a suit? Like, what is this? What is this identity? And the Hulk's like, it's better than anything you ever gave me. So then Banner's like, why don't you just get out? I never wanted you in my head. I never wanted you in my life. You're the intruder. And then this big boulder comes crashing down in between them. And then the Hulk's like, you don't know anything, Banner. So then the Hulk goes, do you think I was created by the Gamma Bomb? Then why doesn't She-Hulk have a monstrous side or the leader? I was always there, Banner. Always. I'm how you survived to adulthood. I'm how you coped with your father. Your personality splintered decades before I showed up. So how about you say thank you. And then he spits in the Hulk's face.
Bust his head to the white meat. I'll slap all over. Y'all gonna read about it. Whenever I see this, it's gonna be a misunderstanding.
So then Banner starts screaming at him like, kill me. Come on. You know you always wanted to do it. In this miserable life of mine. And then all you hear is a crack. And then Bruce Banner can now see his butt cheeks. Now, I grew up in the 80s. So there was at least one neck snap per action movie. At least. But this is something that normally DC is known for. Case in point. If you thought Bruce Banner could see his butt cheeks, Maxwell Lord in Infinite Crisis. Alright, let me give you some insight. In Infinite Crisis, Maxwell Lord was mind controlling Superman. And Wonder Woman, after getting beat down, was able to get the jump on Maxwell Lord and put a lasso of truth on him. And she asked him to stop mind controlling Superman. Since he had a lasso of truth on him, he couldn't lie and said, I'm not going to stop. You're pretty much going to have to kill me. And Wonder Woman didn't hesitate. So in saying that, Peter David has snapped 2 necks in 3 issues. Well, we still got 2 issues left. You might get the trifecta when it comes to neck snapping. Which, is DC really the king after that? Thank you for letting me get that off my chest. Now back to the story. So after turning Banner's head like he was trying to open a jar of pickles, he just jumps. And as you can see, he does the same thing in the real world as he jumps out of the casino. And then Spider-Man's like, okay. He's like, you know what? Let me try to get to the bottom of what's going on here. So then it cuts to the Kingpin and he's talking to a scientist and he's asking him how long the effects of the gas is going to last. And the scientist is like, it really depends on the person. It could last a few hours. It could even last a whole day. Or if he's strong enough, he can shut out the influence within 20 minutes. And the Kingpin is like, that's unacceptable. I need you to figure out a way to make this long term. So the Kingpin leaves and then Spider-Man shows up and surprises the scientist by shining his Spidey light. And Spider-Man's like, look, it's been a while since I had to torture somebody for some information. I might be a little bit out of practice, so it might be better for you to come clean as soon as possible. So the scientist is just singing like a canary and pretty much telling everything, how the gas was meant for you, but you wear a mask and pretty much the whole deal. And then Spider-Man is like, well, where's a cure? And the scientist is like, well, I never had a reason to develop a cure. And Spider-Man yokes him up and was like, wrong answer. So then it cuts back to the mindscape and we see the Hulk just sitting there while Banner's still laid out with his neck twisted. And then the Hulk just goes, fine, and it starts yelling Banner. And then all of a sudden we see Bruce say, what? And then he realizes that he's in Joe Fixit's suit and he's falling from the sky because last time we saw Joe Fixit jumped in the air. So I pose this question. How in the hell do you think Bruce Banner is going to survive this one? Is it going to be Spider-Man that saves him, or is it going to turn back to the Hulk? Please let me know in the comments.
Blue Magic. That's a brand name. Like Pepsi. That's a brand name. I stand behind it. I guarantee it.
Just like I guarantee you're going to love this comic. Because Peter David, he's a brand name. Especially when it comes to the Hulk. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We are covering the complete Joe Fixit series with Joe Fixit number 4. And speaking of American gangsters, we got a bunch of them having a meeting right now. You see what I did there? So the Kingpin is having a meeting with the other casino owners and he's letting them know about the Magi, I believe that's how you pronounce it, that is coming to take over Vegas. So he's telling these casino owners that Michael Burns stepped aside and left him in charge of the Coliseum, and obviously they're not buying it. So he's letting them know how he has outside muscle coming in to Vegas to help protect the other casino owners as long as they pay their protection fee. And the other casino owners are just thinking that Kingpin's moving in on a racket, which he is, but he's also not lying. So the Magi want to clap the Kingpin's cheeks. And whoever Joe Fixit took care of before the comic book began that Michael Burns was talking about, I guess that pissed off the Magi so much that they brought in some real heavy hitters. And their work is rated E for everyone. Out of nowhere, there's this big ass boom. And everybody's like, what the hell was that? And one of the casino owners like, sounds like somebody dropped a 2-ton anvil. So on the next page, Spider-Man's like, I heard that sound and I thought somebody was bombing the strip. I come to look and there's a big ass crater in the ground, so I guess I was right. No, we see is a big gray hand come out of the crater. And Spider-Man goes, yeah, it figures. So as he's pulling himself out of the crater, Joe Fixit is now talking to himself out loud, and he's like, you satisfied, Banner? You could have gotten us both killed. Why don't you just go cower in the corner of our subconscious and keep your opinions to yourself? So Spider-Man comes down and he's like, Joe, how's it hanging? And he just growls at him. And Spider-Man's like, oh great, here we go again. But then it cuts to the Coliseum and all you hear is doom, 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 doom. And you see it's Rhino and he's like, hello Vegas, Rhino's here and I'm feeling luck. And as soon as he went to say lucky, all of a sudden he's getting electrocuted by Electro. So then Electro's like, I kind of figure your suit want to protect you from electric shock. Real subtle, Alexi. And then Rhino's like, Dylan, undercover? And he's like, why don't you got in your costume? And Electro's like, dude, every time I put in that costume, Spider-Man appears, guaranteed. And Rhino's like, but we're in Vegas and he's in New York. Electro's like, doesn't matter. So Joe is finding Spider-Man again, and Spider-Man's like, Bruce, need to step out of it. And Joe Fixit's like, quit calling me Bruce. And then Bruce Banner's in his head and it's like, you need to stop it, Hulk. And Joe's like, it's not Hulk, my name is Joe Fixit. And Bruce Banner's like, oh, that's cute, you gave yourself a name. And all of a sudden Joe just screams, shut up. And then Spider-Man's like, geez, it's like fighting Black Bolt. Who knew his lungs were so strong? I'm just thinking to myself, like, why wouldn't they be? Everything's strong on a Hulk or Joe Fixit. So while Spider-Man's recovering from that scream, Joe uses the opportunity to grab him, and Spider-Man's like, oh crap, this is it. This is how I'm gonna die. And then on the next page, we cut to the Magi. Now, Count Nefaria is a hoss in itself, and we'll get into him in a minute. But you can tell this comic book takes place back in the day, because two of these dudes that's on this page are dead as hell. Now, if you read comic books for long enough, you know that death in comics doesn't mean anything. Hell, Count Nefaria has died a few times and came back. But one of these dudes recently got clipped, and another one has been clipped for a long time. So Count Nefaria is talking to Hydro Man, Whiplash, and the Masked Marauder. Now, the Masked Marauder is still alive, to my knowledge. But Hydro Man just got clipped last year in Carnage. And Whiplash been dead since the early 2000s. He was done in I think Iron Man Volume 3. Anyway, they're discussing the situation. And they're asking, is Joe Fixit going to be a problem? And Count Nefaria is like, well, he took out the people that we sent the first time to try to take over these casinos. So this time we need to show more force. Now, he's going to be the force because Count Nefaria is an experiment where they took the powers of Power Man, that's Luke Cage, the Living Laser, and Whirlwind, and combined them into one person. So like I said, this dude is a hoss. So anyway, they get their marching orders, and Hydro Man and the Masked Marauder are talking about the buffet that they want to hit up downstairs, and Count Nefaria is like, this is the best help we can find. So on the next page, we have Electro and Rhino stand next to the Kingpin, and the Kingpin's like, this is the protection squad that I was telling you guys about. And other casino owners are like, this is blackmail. And the Kingpin's like, no, this is business. Now, gentlemen, I need you guys to sign this contract. Now, you don't have to sign this contract, but if you choose to leave here in one piece, I suggest you sign the contract. So on the next page, you got Joe walking in with Spider-Man, and he's like, I got a special delivery for you, boss. And then the casino owners are looking at this, so you know what's going through their head.
Oh, you want something too, old man? Huh? No.
They just start signing the contracts as fast as they can because they don't want nothing to do with Joe, especially if he just handles Spider-Man. So as soon as Joe drops him, Kingpin's like, unmax him. And Electro's like, with pleasure. So then Electro takes off his mask and he's like, what? And Spider-Man has his whole head painted like his spider suit. And he's like, you like it? Oh yeah, by the way, my hands, they're not bound. And he punches the hell out of Electro. Hits him so hard that he hits him into Rhino. So the Michael Burenghetti walks in and he goes, that's a nice paint job. You go see Natalie over there on Charleston Boulevard. And Spider-Man's like, yeah, I went to my civvies and she just thought I was into cosplay. So then Kingpin's like, Burenghetti, what are you doing here? Fix it. do something. So then Joe's like, sure thing. And he takes off Burnghetty's coat and he goes, thanks, Joe. And he's like, no problem. And then he goes, Wilson, get from behind my desk. So then Kingpin's like, as you wish. And Randall's like, no. He's getting all pissed. And then Kingpin's like, calm down. Things have clearly changed. So then Kingpin's like, obviously my influences wore off. Your mind's a lot stronger than I thought it was. And then he walks over to try to give him another dose. So we see Joe breathing in, and then Kingpin goes, fix it, kill him. And all of a sudden we see Joe grab Kingpin's arm and it flips his ass over. So then Joe goes, I don't think so. And Kingpin's like, how? And then Spider-Man's like, nose filters provided by a scientist who actually bought my tough guy act. So then Joe picks up Kingpin over his head like he's Brock Lesnar. And he goes, remember what I did to you the other day? I was just getting warmed up. And then Kingpin yells, Rhino, now. And Rhino's like, it's about time. And then Rhino gores the hell out of Joe. And the Kingpin's like, watch it. So they go through a wall into the casino. Electro's starting to get up. Spider-Man goes to Burnghetty. It's like, look, I need a lighter right now. Electro finally realizes where Spider-Man's at, and he's just getting all charged up. Michael Burnghetty throws his lighter. Spider-Man gets out of the way to blast. So Spider-Man jumps to the ceiling, and he's under one of his sprinkler system, and he puts the lighter underneath it. Electro goes, oh no you don't. But it's too late, and the water starts coming down, and Electro's pretty much electrocuting himself. So then Rhino's like, you didn't think I didn't recognize you, Hulk? At least somebody has besides Spider-Man. And then Joe punches Rhino, and he's like, I don't care what you think. I just want you to get the hell out of here. So Kingpin uses the distraction, and he starts putting his paws all over Joe Fixit. To his credit, he's like, look, you have no idea how much strength I wield. And he starts putting it on Joe. Then he turns around, and it's Count Nefaria and his crew. Count Nefaria is like, are you bulletproof? And I'm just thinking to myself, Joe, definitely. Rhino, maybe. Everybody else, not in the slightest. Can't wait till this last episode comes out. So let me just start off by saying that this book is action-packed and I love it. But man, it got me looking stupid. Well, I mean, stupid. In issue 3, I hyped up this character. And in this book, whew, it's so disappointing and it's not funny. Like 21 Savage says in the song, he is sweeter than a Pop-Tart. And no, he is not hard. My name is Dorian. This is SEM Comics. We are concluding our coverage of Joe Fixit with Joe Fixit number 5. So the book starts off with Count Nefaria just busting shots at Wilson Fisk, talking about, no, I don't think you're bulletproof. And then Rhino steps in, who is bulletproof, covers Wilson Fisk, bullets bounce off Rhino, one hits Count Nefaria in the shoulder, and he just goes, get him. And that is the last you're going to see of Count Nefaria in this book. Come on, man. This dude got the power of the living laser, Power Man, Luke Cage, and Whirlwind. And this dude gets winged by a bullet and he's done. There are stories of him fighting the Avengers. He gets shot once and he don't want no more. Come on, man. So I guess the Masked Marauder knows what time it is, because he's like, just stay where you are and let my optic blast soften them up. No, the soft one is sitting on the ground holding his shoulder. That's who's soft. So the optic blast hits Spider-Man, and I'm thinking to myself, well, Spider-Man's going to be incapacitated for a minute. But he's saying that Daredevil told him that next time he fights the Masked Marauder, just close his eyes and let Spidey senses set in. So he wasn't affected by the optic blast, and then he just kicks the hell out of Masked Marauder. And yes, he is done. You will not see him in this comic book again. But at least he has an excuse. Masked Marauder is just a normal human. He just has that mask that does that optic blast. Other than that, he doesn't really do much. Count Nefaria is hyped up. And for a stray bullet just to take this dude out, again, come on, man. So now Hydro is coming at both Spider-Man and Joe Fixit. And Joe Fixit's like, bring it on. And he did. He took out Rhino. He takes out Joe. Joe's still talking mess though. He's like, is that all you got? And the Whiplash like, nah, he got friends. And he whips him with the whip, which is electrified. So he's in water. So Joe gets the, you know what, shocked right out of him. So Joe's sleeping. He is knocked out. And Spider-Man has to save him. and he pulls him out the water using his web shooters. He's holding him up, and he's like, dude, you need to eat some more salads. And as soon as he said that, the ceiling panels that he stuck to just give way, and then Spider-Man falls, and who catches him? Wilson Fisk. Spider-Man's like, at first he's like, thanks. And he looks to see who it is, and he's like, no. He's like, we will never speak of this again. And then Wilson Fisk is like, agreed. So now Whiplash goes after Kingpin. He sends his whip, and then Electro steps in and catches the whip, and it's like, you think you got electric powers? And he sends all this electricity through the whip to Whiplash and pretty much fries him, and he is done. Like, you could count to 100. He ain't getting up. So then it's Hydro Man and it's Electro, and it's like they're about to face off. And all of a sudden Electro goes, hey, you want to team up? And Hydro Man goes, why the hell not? So the Kingpin's like, hold on, Electro, I didn't authorize any new hires. There's a vetting process. And then Electro's like, do you think I give a damn about your vetting or your process or you? And he's like, it's sunset. The strip is lit. So you know what that means. He's like, it's chow time. And he starts taking in all this electricity. So then the other goons of Mr. Burnghetty, they're strapped up. And they're like, should we go out there, Mr. Burnghetty? And he goes, are you sure you won't hit none of the customers? And one of them goes, absolutely. And then it goes dark. And Mr. Burnghetty's like, how about now? And then the one dude's like, not so much. So then Joe wakes up from his nap and he's talking to Spider-Man. And Spider-Man's like, I ain't never seen Electro this charged up. And Joe's like, you know what? Let him hit me with his best shot. Why would you say that? Electro comes and shocks the hell out of Joe. And all of a sudden, all you see is,
down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
I mean, he is out. And Spider-Man's like, what you do? And Electro, he don't even mince words. He's like, I gave him a heart attack. It took all the lights on the strip to do it, but I got it done. And then he starts attacking Spider-Man. He's like, is that all you got? It's a dodge? And then Rhino comes out of nowhere. It's like, how's this, traitor? So Hydro Man's talking to Rhino, and he's like, I thought you washed away. And Rhino's like, you think some water's gonna take me out? And Hydro Man's like, some? No. A tidal wave? Abso-freaking-lutely. And Rhino gets washed away again. So while that's going on, Spider-Man's giving Joe chest compressions. He's telling him to come back. All of a sudden he lifts off his mask and he's about to give it mouth to mouth, and then Joe stops him and he goes, you kiss me and I'll rip your head off. So then Joe's like, get on my back. And Spider-Man's like, what? And Joe's like, trust me, I know what I'm doing. And Electro's like, you up again? And Joe's like, you shouldn't underestimate my healing powers. And then Electro's like, I bet Spider-Man don't have any healing powers. And then Spider-Man's like, but people do tell me I got a soothing personality. Even though he's about to die, he's still cracking jokes. So now Electro charges him. Hydro Man's behind him. He's charging him. And Joe just jumps out the way. And you know, electricity and water, they don't mix at all. And they take each other out in epic fashion. So the Kingpin uses this opportunity to get back to his limo. His driver goes, how did everything go? And the Kingpin's like, get me the hell out of here. And he drives off. So all the villains have been either knocked out, or in the Kingpin's case, he's on the first thing smoking out of here. Michael Burnghetty just got off the phone with damage control, and he's like, they're on their way. Joe goes, hey boss, can I have the night off? And Michael Burnghetty's like, sure. He's like, yeah, I want to take Spider-Man out on the town. And Spider-Man's like, dude, I just want to go home. But then Joe's like, Penn and Teller's in town. And then Spider-Man's like, you know what? I guess one night shouldn't hurt. And that's how the book ends. Now, I might seem upset because of the way that they treated Count Nefaria, and I was. But all in all, this was a really good story, and I really did enjoy it, and hopefully you guys enjoy me bringing it to you. And just to let you know that at the end of this book, they showed the new Incredible Hulk series #1, and it's going to be the Age of Monsters. And yes, we are definitely covering it on this channel.